Welcome to the first of several emergency episodes of the Baseball Insiders live from the winter meetings. I'm Adam Weinrib here with Robert Murray as the news is beginning to drop, and the first domino of the winter meetings is Justin Verlander to the New York Mets. We're going to empty the notebook. We're going to break down the market and the ripple effects. Robert, thanks for joining me on such short notice, and this is going to be chaos.
It is going to be complete chaos. I'll tell you, last night I was chilling in the lobby talking to a bunch of different baseball people, and it seemed like everybody that I was talking to, the consensus was it is going to be complete madness. And I, for one, am absolutely freaking here for it.
I thought the madness might begin last night. I was hesitant to go to sleep. It kind of felt like a slow trickle and a setup for the rest of the week, but obviously the Verlander thing going down very early. We were all over the Dodgers as the favorites, and probably about a week or so ago, that seems to have flipped on its head once Jacob deGrom bolted to the Texas Rangers. Instead, it's the Mets, 2 years and $86.6 million. Do I have that right?
That is correct. Yeah, there's a bunch of reports out there that said it was 2 for 86, but it's actually 2 years for 86.6 million, which puts him slightly over Max Scherzer's AAV and now his teammate Max Scherzer, which pretty crazy.
Yeah, teammates once and forever. Old Detroit Tigers reunited on the powerhouse 2023 New York Mets and beyond. How did this come together? Was this always the Mets' preference to deGrom, or was it sort of all right, we're happy to pivot if you want to give him 5 years with a sixth? I mean, that deGrom deal is going to go up to $222 million, I think, if he hits all 6 years. So what was the process here?
Yeah, so I think the Mets, they absolutely did want to retain Jacob deGrom. Like, they made him a good offer. But once he ended up going to Texas, and I don't think there was any other team that was going to be touching what Texas gave deGrom. But once deGrom went off the board, I think Verlander was the one who made the most sense for the Mets because they like those short-term contracts because that's what they offered deGrom. And that's what they ultimately did with Verlander. And a guy like Carlos Rodon is, in fact, seeking a 6-year contract. Like, that is I think that was reported this morning, and that is accurate. And I think that was not something that the Mets were willing to do. So I would not expect the Mets to be in on Carlos Rodon after this. I certainly think another starting pitcher like a Jameson Taillon or someone along those lines makes a whole lot of sense. But Verlander made a whole lot, like, he made perfect sense for them on that short-term contract, and ultimately they got a deal done. And shout out to Carlos Baerga. Am I getting that right?
Oh yeah,
in that story yesterday that he had the exact terms. So shout out to him.
Yeah, MLB Insider, former Cleveland All-Star Carlos Baerga. And we were talking earlier, he had Marcus Semien a couple years ago too. I feel like he had, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody the Yankees missed on last year that Carlos Baerga had to the Jays. I think it was Springer. And everybody was kind of like, I'm not sure about that, and then nailed it once again. So shout out to Carlos Baerga, who got it right. The Astros seemingly willing to let Verlander go, especially at this price. They've got Hunter Brown. Verlander was somehow their worst starter in the World Series, so it sort of makes sense. Also, never forget that Verlander and Kate Upton flipped off the fans of Philadelphia during the World Series, so maybe they were laying the breadcrumbs for him to join the Mets and stay in the NL East.
I totally forgot about that happening. You got to imagine Phillies fans are going to be remembering that. As a Philly guy, I know Philly fans will definitely not forget that. But I will say that rotation that they have now with deGrom and Verlander, I think that, or not deGrom, but Scherzer and Verlander, that's, to me, it may not have as much upside as the one with deGrom because deGrom is the best pitcher in baseball. I don't think there's any disagreeing with that when he's healthy. But Verlander has proven that he's more durable. And I think you're going to get more guaranteed starts out of Verlander than you would deGrom. So I think that's money well spent by the Mets here.
Agreed. If you have it, why not secure the reigning Cy Young? It may be his golden years. It might be the twilight coming, but no sign of it last season. And now you have Scherzer and Verlander, two of the league's best, locked down for the next few years. It makes Scherzer's option decision in 2024 a little bit easier too. Now, before we leave the pitching market, Rodon, we are hearing that 6-year number floating around. Also seeing the ask as something between 27 to 30 million, obviously pretty high escalation. Got some Red Sox questions in the chat. I've seen them connected to Rodon a little bit. I've seen the Yankees connected to him, and it sort of feels like you want to write the Yankees off because they're still in that Judge pursuit. Why are they really going to seriously engage at the top of the pitching market? But you're hearing them more and more there. What's the latest read on Rodon's market?
Yeah, so as we mentioned, he's looking for 6 years, and I think that might limit what teams are going to be in, because I'm skeptical that the Dodgers are going to be willing to go 6 years on Carlos Rodon. I could be wrong, but I don't see them going that far for him. Kind of skeptical about Boston too. Giants make a whole lot of sense. I even think I'm not going to say that, but I'm struggling to figure out exactly where Rodon's going to go, but there's a lot of people who ultimately believe that he will get that 6-year contract. I just do not know where that's going to be from.
Yeah, and it's probably going to come down relatively soon, especially since these wheels are in motion. If you want to find out the latest, make sure to subscribe to the Baseball Insiders. I can't believe I started the show without saying that. We're going to be here. This is not going to be our only emergency pod of the week. We'll have you covered every day of the winter meetings whenever it best suits us. We're trying to carve out time in everybody's busy schedule to give you all the latest. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the biggest news of yesterday, the winter meetings essentially kicked off with a Bryan Reynolds trade request. We've been waiting a long time for the Reynolds stuff to get serious. And Ken Rosenthal indicated in yesterday's piece that the relationship might as well be torched and that it's time for both sides to move on and find a resolution. Do you think it's likelier Reynolds gets moved at the winter meetings or in the immediate aftermath than it was before that trade request came out?
I don't think he's going to be traded at the winter meetings. I feel pretty comfortable in saying that. The Pirates, I think they're open to listening, but that's what all good teams do is they listen on any player. And if a team brings them a package that is too good to refuse, then they'll seriously consider it. But that trade request from them did not move the needle whatsoever. They want to keep Bryan Reynolds. They love Bryan Reynolds. They think he's a key part of that roster and that offense. And I mean, he is. But if you look at the team that he makes or that could potentially be fits there's so many. You have the Miami Marlins. They've long had interest in them or in Bryan Reynolds. The San Francisco Giants, who once traded Reynolds for Andrew McCutchen. The Yankees make a whole lot of sense. The argument could also be made for the Mets too. I think even the San Diego Padres. I'll tell you, I said on the podcast a few weeks ago how much the Padres loved Trey Turner. They also love Bryan Reynolds, and here's the big but, I don't know if they have the prospects needed to get it done. After trading for Juan Soto and Josh Hader and those guys, they pretty significantly depleted their farm system. So I'm skeptical that they have enough, but surely AJ Preller is probably going to make a call. You know how he operates. So I think those are the teams to watch for a potential Reynolds trade, but I think the odds of a trade happening, slim. I'm not going to say none because anything can happen, but they're very slim.
As a Yankee fan, I do love that big butt, and I cannot lie. We were early on Trey Turner to the Padres. We did talk about Trey Turner to the Padres a few weeks back, and now the shortstop market is cresting a little bit. Seeing the Bogart stuff get serious over the weekend, seeing Turner maybe meeting with San Diego. Obviously, the Phillies have interest. The Cubs are heavily pursuing these guys. Any more clarity on that market? I'm even starting to see Correa Giants chatter. I mean, we're obviously about to enter an inflection point whenever the Aaron Judge stuff goes down. But do we have any updated shortstop chatter at the start of the winter meetings?
Yeah, it's all over the place. I think it's still developing as we speak, because we still have all 4 of these guys on the free agent market. None of them are signed yet, but I do think that one of them will come off the board while we're at the winter meetings. I don't know which one it will be, but that's my early indication is that one of them will come off the board here. And I'll tell you, once that happens, we're going to see I would imagine a domino effect, kind of like what we're seeing with the pitching market. But the Trey Turner and Padres interest, that's very real. Like the Padres love Trey Turner, and if they are able to pull that off, I'm very interested to see the contract, but also two, what exactly the Padres do, and if they move one of those infielders. I know how much they like Jake Cronenworth. I can't imagine they move him. So I'd imagine maybe it's Kim, but like I think this is all something that the Padres are kind of figuring out internally now. But AJ Preller is a madman. That's all I got to say. And I saw him walking throughout the lobby yesterday, and I was wondering in my head, like, what is he thinking? Like, I'm wondering like what's going on in that brain of his, because it's just, yeah, there's not many GMs who operate like him.
What was he doing? Punch in the air or just dead eye stare, walking straight ahead, or what's his general vibe?
Yeah, he was just walking throughout the lobby. Nobody was bothering him because I think he was with some of his lieutenants. But yeah, he was walking around, and I think it was pretty late at night. It was like probably 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning. So I think he may have been going home. But yeah, it's these next 3 days are going to be just complete madness. I feel very confident in that one, but I can't wait.
Preller's on his home turf. The madman is here, at home where he feels most comfortable. I do kind of agree with the Xander Correa thing, that maybe those two free agencies are tied hand in hand. I'm gonna keep my eyes on that for sure. Anything else in the notebook that we should empty before the day continues? Any indications on Aaron Judge? Do we think that maybe today is the day that the Yankees see San Francisco's offer and up it, or decide to walk away? Or, is that the first real domino on the offensive side of the ball?
I think that certainly could be. And I think it's definitely up in the air on what happens. Like, you talk to different people throughout the industry and they'll tell you different things. And it's just like, nobody knows. So I'm hoping that he signs at the winter meetings, just because that would create just chaos, but also it would also create some clarity on that one. But with Judge, I'm thinking it's possibly signs here. I will say the Angels are pursuing a late inning reliever. I don't have any specific names, but that sounds like something that they'd like. The Cardinals are among the teams looking for a catcher. I can say that Sean Murphy is somebody of interest, but also James McCann. I think he might be a backup option for them. But I would imagine in any potential scenario that the Mets would have to eat some decent cash there. So it's and I will also say, I think there's going to be a lot of pitchers that go here. That's my indication right now is I'm not even just talking like the high end guys. I'm talking like the tier 2 and tier 3 guys. That's at least what the chatter was last night. So we'll see, but it's going to be crazy. And I would highly recommend staying tuned and subscribing to this channel. Also following me on Twitter at by Robert Murray. I will be hopefully dropping some news at some point. It's going to be nuts. But Adam, I'm very excited to be here with you, man.
I can't wait for tomorrow. These are a whirlwind. I mean, I'm condensing the show into got to talk about 35 rumors in a short span, because we got to get back at it, because they're about to get broken. The Sean Murphy thing, do you think that's going to resolve in the next couple of days potentially?
I don't think a trade is close. That's not I don't have any indication that a deal is close at this point, but things can change. But at least as of right now, I don't think it's close.
Well, please stay tuned to the show today and in the coming days. Follow Robert on Twitter at by Robert Murray. The byline is right there, and that's the handle you're going to want to follow to get all the updated information. And I'm just going to be here in my home freaking out and then hoping for a text message alert that we got to go live again, because we plan on covering this thing pretty thoroughly, and I couldn't do it without you, man.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, man. I appreciate you putting up with my absolute love for this. I'll tell you, I was up at 4:30 this morning. Just from being completely psyched. And I had Ian Levy, who is my wonderful editor at Fansided here. I messaged him when it was about 4:45 in the morning, and he's like, dude, get some freaking sleep. So I appreciate him looking out for me. That's my guy right there.
Yeah, and I will reiterate, get some freaking sleep. You're gonna need it because, like you said, Preller's stalking those halls at 1 a.m. and you want to be there. So get your rest where you can.
Oh hell yeah! I'm all over it. I'll have the binoculars and yeah, I'll be watching closely.
Yeah,
That's probably gonna be memed. What I just did there. That's not good. Oh no.
I should have cut you off a minute earlier. We wouldn't have had that, sadly.
Rookie mistake by me. Oops.
It's a long week, and it will only get longer. So, folks, please make sure to be here. Check for the drops. We're going live whenever we got news. Justin Verlander is a Met. The Houston Astros won't be taking a step back for some reason. They're still going to be good, and we'll keep you updated on all of the various wheelings and dealings. Hopefully, we get something else done by the end of the day today, so we can update you on it when we log on tomorrow. Until then, I'm Adam Weinrib for Robert Murray. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.